slices, and then they put them in a bed sheet and placed them out in the summer kitchen on the roof. And they spread them on the sheet up there, and took several warm days for them to dry. Now, who would have thought that way back when?
Never, right?
That's right. And she said when you put them into cloth bags and you hung them in the pantry, and then yum, yum.
And then they would just dry out the rest of the way in
I
the
guess
cloth
so,
bag.
yes. I never would have thought that, putting them on the roof, but like I say, it's just...
Resourceful.
Yeah, yes. Way back when, they thought things through, I think,
We want the immediate.
Yes. Back then they didn't Google anything.
That's right.
They had to think it through. Everybody says, okay, we can just Google that, right? Yep. So, and then we have a picture of, I don't know who this is, from Decatur County, checking the stuffed sausage in bags and casings, and that's pretty cool. And I have no idea who it is.
That is very cool.
But I don't know who it is.
Is that hung like on the
Yes,
wall-ish?
it looks like a cellar type thing.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So,
Have you ever stuffed sausage like that?
No, I have not.
I haven't either. I've watched the process, and I think it would be very cool. But to think that they used to do it at home, and
that's right, way back when. Yeah, our family makes grits.
Okay.
Yes, we love to make grits, the pork grits, right? Yeah. So, yeah, and then let's see who else. Like I say, she interviewed about 6 people here in Decatur County. Lenny Hearn. I did not know her, who was in our club. They were milking and churning, and she said we have to churn, so that dash was so long, or we had to do so many dashes. And then the other, which was her sister, had to take hold and go on till they finally got the butter. Sometimes it was easy, and sometimes it took a long time. So making your own butter way back when,
Can you imagine having to do that?
Well, all the stuff that they had, to make this is just unbelievable.
It's crazy.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. And I think people trying to go back to that. I know my kids are, back into the big gardening and stuff.
Say it
canning.
seems like homesteading to a degree, I guess you could call it, but back to doing all this stuff.
Yes, yeah, and it's fun, and you reap your rewards.
That's exactly right.
And like I say, the way things are happening, it's just you never know. And Marie Clark, she was another wonderful member way back when. She was 80 when this was published, and they always went to town once a week and got all the week's worth of groceries at one time. And it said, and then Lorene asked her, how long did it take you to go to town in those days? About an hour and a half in a buggy with a horse, and we aimed to get everything that we needed at one time. So, because they lived in Sandusky.
So that was a big trip in
town. Right. So it took forever.
My papa always, and I wish they had cars, obviously, by the time, but my grandma always went to town once a week. That was
that was the highlight, yes. Mm-hmm.
And I tell you, when she'd have to go more than once, he'd say, I thought you already went to town. Yeah. I thought you already got what you needed.
I need to get out of the house, right?
That's
I mean,
right.
Back then you just never got in your, buggy and went.
No, that wasn't an option.
Yeah, and nowadays, if you need something, you just go. I mean, people are in town every day.
Yeah. It's a normal thing now.
Yes. And then Lorene also had about feeding our families and eating with others. There were hickory trees in our woods. In the fall, my brothers brought in the hickory nuts to be cracked and shelled, and I know Reggie does that a lot. The nut meats were removed with metal nut picks, and those are antique. I have some of those, and they were spent around the fire eating the shelled nuts, popcorn, and apples, playing games, reading, or enjoying our own music. Her brothers were John, David, and Ira, and they played the violins, and Lizzie, her sister, played the pump organ.
Oh, how fun.
Yes. So they made their own entertainment back then.
Absolutely did.
Yes. And like I said, I don't know what they would have done with cell phones back then.
No.
Or whatever.
I think we should go without for a while.
Yeah, that's right.
I would be okay with that.
Yes. Yeah, and then about feeding the workers. If you had something going on, they would bring workers in to help you, like the Amish do, And Marie said they'd cook for 2 or 3 days ahead of time, like pies and cakes and breads. And then the big day came. And then they fed everybody, and then they went home at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. So that was the first book that was about feeding our families. And then the next one is Party Lines, Pumps, and Privies.
I'm excited for this one.
Yes, because, there's some interesting things in here. I'll tell you, I had to mark them because, like I say, way back when, they just didn't do with a lot of...
Now, are those books still where someone can purchase them? Do you know?
I know they have some at the library. They used to have this series, but I don't know if you can go online and get them.
But the library is a great option.
Yes, right, it is. But I've got all 6 of them because, the lady I was with in Homemakers, she passed them down to me. Her last name was Davis. So, and she passed away, and she wanted me to have these.
Oh, very nice.
And so I treasure these.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so, so let's see here. And then Pumps, Bass, and the Path. And Lorene says our well water was hard, which way back then your water was hard. You didn't have the
You
softener.
didn't have the softener put in to make it better.
And it says it means it contains excessive amounts of gray mineral particles. It would settle the long-handled granite water dippers and on the inside and the bottom of the granite water bucket. I didn't think it looked pretty or clean, but I disliked the times I had to take Dutch cleanser and scour them until they were white again. Remember Dutch cleanser way back when?
Way back, yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. And then getting your clothes clean, they used to boil the clothes in one of those old black kettles, punch them down till they boiled up with lye soap. That we made the clothes were pretty and white. Marie Clark said that. So working with lye soap.
I tell you, I had to wear white scrubs when I worked at Major Hospital. We had to wear all white.
Oh, yes.
And so it'd drive my grandma crazy if they were not pristine white. And so she would take my scrub. I just lived across the field from them. Mm-hmm. So she'd take my scrubs, and I don't know what she did to them because we have hard water in that area anyway. But I always know she used borax and she used something else because she's like, you are not going to look like some of those girls up there. We are going to have pretty white scrubs.
Yeah, that's not yellowed.
Not yellowed. No, she made sure I stayed very white.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then with the washboards bluing, and Lenny Hearn said there were times when her mother would make what they called a soft soap. That's what they used in the laundry. She'd have a can of that soft soap, and it was brown liquid soap or sort of a jelly-like soap. So, but, back then they made everything.
They made their own soaps.
Yeah, they made everything, and I know you can make your soaps, right now. And then Marie says, yes, we have different kind of detergents to put in our washers, bleach, and some sort of softening agent that we put in our laundry. So, they just moved on, and they knew what they had to do back then.
They did, and they took care of themselves.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did, I enjoyed my club. I was so glad. I was honored to be a member of Clinton Club because those ladies were just wonderful. They introduced me because I lived in Batesville, didn't know anybody, and they just took me under their wing, and it was wonderful. A lot of wonderful memories from those ladies.
I look at even who your members are now, and for me to look and refer to so many of you for different things, that the history that you have and the knowledge that you have.
Right.
I'm not quite the domesticated person, but I have my resources when I need that.
Right.
And I think people need to realize how much we have here in Decatur County.
That's right. And I try to push. I know our numbers are dropping, way back in the 50s, we had 52 clubs and over 1,200 members. Wow. And now we're down to 7 clubs and about 45 members. So, but I'm still president after 19 years. I'm not going to give up on us.
That's
right. They just, they step up and they do what we have to do. And we try to help as many people as we can in Decatur County. We don't have the fundraisers like we used to because we don't have the lady power, but we do. We can come through for them.
And you guys are so supportive of the county.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we try.
All kinds of things that go on.
Well, when I brought the last time, I told Kathy, I said, "Oh my God, I had probably 50 or 60 things that we have donated to over the years."
Is that right?
Yes, and we still do several. And the clubs individually donate also. What they have, they take up donations and. Whenever there's a need. Like we help the marching band, of course you helped us with that one year.
Yeah.
And we're partnering with the Girl Scouts now also. We've been with them for several years. So, that's a good, I think, good combination there too.
That is, because that's a good influence as they're young and hopefully get them to the point that they can join them.
They're it's like I say, it's good. You got to reach out a little bit to these kids that are, trying to bring them back and they're an excellent group. That's they come to some of our meetings and give us, when they go places, they give us, like last year they went to Minnesota and did a trek through down the river and how they made it and carried the canoes and everything.
Wow.
It was wonderful. Yeah.
Oh, how cool.
Snakes, and I go, okay, snakes.
Snakes are enough.
I'm done. I'm history. I'm not going.
We're not canoeing anymore.
No, I'm not. I'll tell you. Yes. So, and then of course ironing. Who irons anymore?
Oh, fluff and hang.
Yes, that's right. Shake them out, girl. And Marie Clark said they ironed everything. You weren't a very good housekeeper if you didn't iron everything.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I go, wow. Well, I started with pillowcases and handkerchiefs. I know my mother, and that was like when I was 6 years old. Okay. You iron that stuff, but that you taught yourself how to do this stuff, and you didn't burn your fingers on those things.
Oh.
Yep, so.
Ironing, I think, is a lost.
Yes, it is.
Lost thing these days.
Well, my son-in-law loves to iron.
Really?
So, yes, he does. He irons everything too. So Stacy goes, have at it.
That's right. You find one of those, you go for it.
Uh-huh. Yes. Okay. And then Marie also said, now if you were careful, you don't have to iron very many things. Men's Sunday shirts, if you hang them on a hanger when you take them down, you hardly ever have to do much to them. I don't iron sheets. I use fitted sheets mostly, and they pull smooth. So there you go. And who notices when you get in bed anyway? Just turn the lights out, right?
That's right. No one knows if those sheets are smooth and flat.
That's right. Yeah. So it's just funny how these ladies, what they did way back when. I'll tell you.
And I think too and I don't want to say we don't have pride in our homes, but where most of us are out working on a day-to-day basis versus when they were home, that what we look as our career and our passion maybe that we're out doing, that's what their home was to them. So the ironing and the sheets being perfect, that was
a perfect house.
Was.
They were good housekeepers way back when. You did the spring and the fall cleaning. Oh God, remember you wiped down the walls and brought out the rugs and beat the rugs, and so yeah, it was like I say, back then they worked themselves to death, but they sure did. But they didn't complain.
They loved doing it.
They just knew it had to be done. Yep. So I have to look through here to find, and then in the privies, Lorene said we had modern women have it much easier when it comes to homemaking and related activities. I hope we do not forget to be thankful for our present blessings, which is true.
Very true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like I say, what we have now and what they went through is
way different.
Yes, way different is right.
Because I think sometimes, I think I would like to have a carpet shampoo or, just little things that they didn't have those possibilities at all.
Yes, I know. And like I say, they didn't need everything in life.
No.
So.
They just took care of it.
Yeah. And like I say, it wasn't want or need, if they had to really have it,
Yes.
And that's why they don't have storage issues. Way back when. And nowadays, the storage units and the garages are full and
stuff everywhere.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And
so
it's amazing how fast too you accumulate stuff
that
you don't need and you don't even know you have sometimes.
My mantra is if I buy something, something goes in,
That's
something
right.
has to
You
go
are
out.
Good about that.
Yes,
aren't
I
you?
am. Yes, I am. Yep. And do I need it? Is it want or need or both, or is it just I think I need it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried to work with my mother on this getting rid of stuff, but she's not there yet.
No.
I'm like, Mom, we got it.
Well, and your mother probably had a lot of beautiful stuff too, didn't
does.
she? Yes.
Yeah, she does. And
yes.
So it's hard to.
Yeah, and you hate to get rid of it, so I try to pass it on to people that. And my kids really enjoy the old stuff, and I give it to people too. And I said, I'm glad you want it because if I ever want it, I know I can get it back.
You know exactly where it's at.
Instead of selling, once you sell it, it's gone.
And I think too, like passing, and I know this is, I know from my grandparents, I received a lot of things too, but
I bet.
It's having those things to hang on to as well. And, this week I was actually gifted, I had a patient that passed away, but she collected turtles.
Oh.
And the most beautiful wooden turtle. And for me, that's just a memory to have of that patient.
Right.
But
yes.
I think too, when you're looking at getting rid of your stuff, those are also things to think about too, is who can you pass on
that's
that
right.
it's going to mean something.
That's right. And when they look at it, they go, oh, I remember this memory, or I remember this person. And like you say with your turtle, that's awesome. And I appreciate things like, way back when the ladies passed away, I always got a little hanky or something from them in their memory because those ladies meant so much to me. So I really enjoy, when I get things out, I go, oh, I so-and-so got this. Or I had rolling pins. Some of the ladies gave me rolling pins. And, so it's just, it's wonderful.
I was fortunate. There was an estate auction here in town. I guess that was last year. But I think she was a homemaker as well. But I was fortunate to get a box of her cake pans. So it has the Christmas tree cake pan. So I guess that's been 2 Christmases now that I've had it. So, but that's just a memory for me. I pull it out and make my Christmas tree cake every year.
Yeah, that's right. And you look for it and bring a smile to your face.
And I'm sure it doesn't look half as good as hers ever did.
Well, now you never know. You cover it up with icing, don't you, Emily? Yes.
Well, yeah. So it's okay.
That's right.
But yeah, I mean, there's things like those are the things that mean more to me than anything.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, they're just like I say, happy keepsakes.
That's right.
Yeah. So I've been going through my house and telling my kids about this and this because they don't know this. If they don't know it, they're going to get rid of it. So
that's right.
At Christmas time, I went through all my Christmas stuff and they wanted everything because I've collected Christmas. I love Christmas. You know that. So. But they didn't know about some of these things. And my grandkids want I have 13 Christmas trees, so. All my Christmas trees are taken care of. Yes,
that's right. Everything is spoken for.
That's right. So that makes me feel good that they want this.
Well, and it makes forever your spirit to live on.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good. Yeah,
it does.
Good answer. Yeah, good answer. Well, my next book is Buggies and Bad Times, and this
Oh.
is when the war was coming on. So the first one is Buggies and Bad Roads. And Lanny said our horses were more or less pets, of course, and when my sister and I wanted to go anywhere, we would take the halter and go to the pasture. We held the halter behind us so that the horse would not see it. And in the other hand, we had a small ear of corn, and he would see that. Then she'd come up and eat the nubbin out of our hand, and then we'd feed her many times like that. While we was getting that nubbin, we slipped the halter over her nose and up over her ears, and we had her. That's the way we caught her to take her to the barn. Then we'd have to unharness her to feed her, and then we'd get her ready and hitch her up to the buggy, and off we'd go. And they had 3 different horses that they would drive to, and they were very slow goers. The one was more of a driving horse, and it would drive a little faster, but our folks thought we were safer with one of the work horses.
Oh,
Yeah. So they had 3 horses back then, but horses did a lot way back when for
they
these.
worked very hard.
Yes, they did. You know, they plowed, they disc, you know, they did a lot of the planting for them, you know, because as you can see here, this little buggy here, they, you know, wrapped out.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, they use that as buggy and then as a planting also.
I still enjoy watching. I live up kind of in Amish country, and so when they get out in the
Yes.
field and just watching the horses so pretty as
Yes.
they just move across the
It
field.
is, and it's just back in time.
It is. Sure is.
Yeah, because Lenny always said, or she said this too, but it was just common going into town. It was just a buggy. It finally got so we could have a storm apron up in front of the buggy top, and the top would lay back down. In the summer, you could fold it up, lay it back in the back, and we had a buggy with a ride in the sunshine. So they had a convertible buggy.
I didn't even know it at that time, did they?
That's right. They were styling back then.
That's right.
Oh, gosh, yeah. So
That'd be a big moment, too, that when you upgraded to that kind of buggy.
that's right. Yes. And then Lena Alverson, she was 82. She said one time when Raymond, which was her brother, and I were coming into Bernie, his horse got scared and upset the buggy with us right there in the street. Fortunately, we weren't hurt. So Lorene asked, so how many wrecks in those days was a common thing for horses to run away? Well, not really. You'd read about it and hear about it some, but not too common. So they was in control of the horse.
Horses.
Yes.
When you think about that, because women and children would take the horses
Yes,
to town.
right.
That if you had an out of control horse, you'd have a big problem.
That's right, yes. And, you know, if the horses aren't used to it or if they don't get out enough, you know, like say if they only did it one day a week, you know, that makes a difference too.
Yeah.
Yep. So, yeah, like I say, I've read these over and over and I just laugh at, you know, how they used to live from way back when. So it was good, you know. So let's see. I think that was it. There wasn't too many in on this one. Oh, Irene Reddington. Yeah, she's got Buggies and Bad Roads also. What is State Road 3 now was a muddy lane when I was a girl. It used to be a hub deep in mud in the wintertime, and my father said one time that someday there would be a pike go through. It wasn't a state road then. It was just called a pike.
A pike.
I don't know
okay.
what we would think today if he knew that state road that went by our house. So,
Isn't
way
that
back-
crazy?
Yeah, way back when,
Right.
yeah. State Road 3.
Just
Yeah.
a mud hole, muddy lane.
Yeah, muddy lane. Yeah, and you look at it now, like everybody had visions back then of what everything was going to be, I guess.
And I guess I do that now too, because we continue to see growth,
Yes,
in all
right.
communities and whatnot. And I always think, what's that going to be in another 10 years?
That's right, yes, or what it's going to look like,
Yeah.
you know. And like I say, you got to have a vision. I can vision 99%. You know, a lot of people can't vision stuff, but I can. And I
Yeah.
go, no. Yeah,
I know. And change is hard.
Yes,
Change
it is.
a difficult thing and thinking about those times to where we are now. And I always said this about my papa is because he'd look at me and say, my goodness, I never dreamed it would be like this.
Right.
But you look at a time span of 80 or 90 years, you've seen so many
Yeah,
changes.
there's so many changes, is right. You know, from horse and buggy to cars, you know, the Model Ts back then,
Yeah.
you know.
To a
Yeah.
car that drives itself
That's
now.
right, yes, which is scary.
Yeah, it is scary. Yes, a little bit scary.
Yeah. And in the girlhood days, there wasn't too much going on in here. I don't know if Lorraine, like I say, the older ladies, I'm sure they were probably getting old and couldn't remember anything. I don't know. But this was my mother-in-law. This was the girlhood days. She said down in the basement on rainy days, we played Skip to My Lou and Drop the Handkerchief. Remember those?
Drop the handkerchief? I've never heard of that
yes,
one.
you sit in a circle and you drop the hanky. And,
Okay.
and you got to, run around and sit back down. It's like...
Kind of like Duck, Duck, Goose?
Yeah, Duck, Duck, Goose, only it was Drop the Handkerchief. Yes.
Oh, how fun.
Yes. So, yeah, way back when, those were the,
Those
the
were the
games.
games,
Yes, that's
yeah.
right. Yes. And this other lady from Hamilton County, she said, we'd play forfeits. Each person would give the leader something that would hold over the person's head and say, heavy, heavy hangs over the head. And then they'd say, what shall be done to redeem it? Then the other person would say, like, recite the multiplication tables or something like that. I thought, well, okay.
Yeah.
But they were smart back then, too, you know. They went to school to learn, didn't they?
They did.
Yes. Yep, so. And then on growing up in the community, Lenny Hearn, she put, I have to read this because she submitted a picture, a Sunday school picture back in 1908 at the Cave, and it has rental swimsuits for 5 cents each. Isn't that cool?
Oh, that is so cool.
Yes.
I'll try to take a few pictures of these before you leave, and we'll try to put them on our website.
Okay. But she said we always had a lot of company after church on Sunday. The folks would decide at church and ask somebody home with them after church. And, of course, we were asked to their home for dinner in return sometimes. But I know during fried chicken season, we'd come home from chicken, here it is, and my mother would go out and pick out a chicken, wring its head off, and get it ready and fry it for dinner. And I go, oh, my gosh.
Fresh chicken, really fresh chicken.
Yes, wring the neck right off of it. I thought, oh, my gosh. My sister and I would go over to the strawberry patch and pick strawberries, stand them, and get them ready for dessert. And, of course, Mother had baked a lot of bread on Saturday, so we had plenty of bread. And sometimes we had plenty of pies, but in strawberry season, we expected to eat strawberries for dessert. A lot of our company were relatives because the community was filled with relatives, but not always. When we went to church, there'd be the church members, not relatives at all, that would come home with us. And then in return, we go to their houses, sort of like take turns doing your thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, it's just...
I think, too, some of that gets so lost now. Yeah. Because you don't see families together like they used to be.
No, and they go to church on Sunday. I mean, church was an all-day thing, like I say, you get together afterwards and spend the whole day with people.
Yeah.
So there wasn't much in that book there, but I'm sure there was probably a lot of memories. But,
of course.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then this is going to club. Back then when the clubs got started, we started in 1935 was our first club here. So, let's see here. This is Sadie, my mother-in-law. In 1936, we organized, and there were 20 that very first day. We all got busy and solicited around, and we came up at the end of the month with 30 members. It kept growing and growing, and at one time in 1941, we had a membership of 72 members, which was a very, very large club. That was Clinton Homemakers.
And that was just one club here
yes,
in the county.
72. And I know we was probably the biggest club in the whole state back then, but it was a community very involved,
Yes.
And these ladies would get together and do, different show, when
You guys have always been an active club.
Yes, always. They always have been. And I think that's why everybody loved to teach things and do things, how to refurnish furniture, how to make braided rugs. I mean, they taught themselves. Every month they had a lesson for them, and it was just so much fun to do.
So cool.
Yeah, it is.
And don't you wish at some point there had been, like, each of those lessons had been where you would have them for all of
that's
those
right,
years?
Yes. They used to make the tin trays. I don't know if you remember those. They'd etch them.
And yes,
they had. So I have several of those, from way back when, and then they take that wood, and I still have the wooden thing, the paddle that they bend them up, make edges out of them. Yeah. So, that's every month. That's why it was so much fun to go to club because you was learning things as you was growing.
It gave you a chance to get out of the house. You got to see other people and learn.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. Yep. So, like I say, that's why I enjoy clubs so much. I know people get sick of hearing it, but I don't care.
That's okay. They can keep hearing it.
Yeah, that's right. So, and then here's a picture where they're refinishing furniture from way back when, some of the ladies, but I don't know any of the ladies in this picture either, who that was. But, they love to do things, and like I say, this says it was demonstrated by a Purdue specialist. And then the refinishing was done by the women here in Decatur County.
Okay.
So a lot of times they'd send people from Purdue, which, they should have way back when.
Yeah.
So, and then the lessons, we always had a lot of lessons given in our county. And Jean Finley came out one time and taught us how to knit, Irene Reddington said, so way back when. And here's another picture of them crafting.
Oh, look at all of them.
I know.
Oh, that's so fun.
Yes. Can you see this nowadays? Oh, this is where they're making the aluminum trays.
The aluminum trays.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Ah.
Yes. And those are cool. They're an antique, and they're love to have around. And Sadie said, what stood out in my mind the most was the aluminum tray etching and making them. I have several trays now. I've made several and gave away, but it was the most interesting lesson to me that they had given.
Very well, and the fact that it's such a keepsake.
Yes, and I have hers, yes.
Do you?
In fact, I have one from another lady in the club, too, that they was just selling at the auction. I go, oh, no. No, the family, I don't know if they did not know that they made them back when, the family. You try and tell these people this stuff.
I think that happens a lot. They just don't know what something is.
That's right. They don't. They're like, where'd she get this at?
Yeah.
She made it.
She made it.
Yes, that's
Handmade,
right.
Right there.
Yes. And then Marie Clark said they gave us lessons on colors, how to use colors together so they wouldn't clash.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Purdue is, up on that. And then Lena Alverson said, I think one of the lessons I remember as much as any other recent was the growing old gracefully. And those ladies did back then. That's why a lot of them lived to be 90 and 95 and, close to 100. We had a lot of ladies that, were antiques. I guess.
That's right.
Yeah.
But what a life lived, though. Again, I say
yes.
to think that they lived,
and they
80,
shared,
90, 100.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they shared so much, enjoyed life. You could see they enjoyed life, know, and they always came to club. They never had an excuse. They never missed club.
They were there.
Never. Yes. Like, oh, what day is it? Oh, is it club meeting tonight? No, it wasn't. But yeah. So anyway, it was just a good time. And let's see. This was the activities and the state fair, and our club did go to the state fair twice, and they did a presentation on corn husk. Karen Finley did corn husk, and we won grand champion. We won $200. I have a picture of that.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
So did you do that in like the open
that
class?
was, I guess at the state fair, yes.
Okay.
Way back when, yes. And I have a picture of them, yes. And,
oh, how fun.
Yes, and Karen Finley was awesome. I mean, she's a crafter anyway. She made baskets, hand-woven baskets, corn shucks. She made everything and anything with dolls. So, yeah, that was a big prize back then. It was back in the 50s when they did that.
Oh, that'd be interesting for them to bring that back.
That's right. Yeah, I know. So the state fair, Sadie says, has your club ever entered anything at the state fair? Yes, several years ago they made corn husk dolls and flowers. They entered, and that won first place. And they got $200. So we had some money to spend, and we took the club out for dinner down at Keeler's, and that was our reward.
Corn husk dolls. I still have one of those.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I have a couple of her baskets that she's made.
Is that right?
Yeah. So, yeah. I treasure those.
I love the homemade stuff.
I do too. I do too. Because, you don't find that anymore.
You don't. I always say, so when I was in college, when I went to Purdue, and when I went there, I was like, I'm going to find a hobby, right?
Yep.
Well, my granny had always crocheted. So I'm like, that's going to be my hobby. I'm going to learn to crochet. So I bought the hook, and I bought the yarn, and I bought the book. And I made one really long string of crocheting. Never could figure out how to turn around and get it back. And then I lost my focus. But it's things like that. I'm like, I envy people that are able to do have those kind of skills,
Yes.
It just
because Sadie, my mother-in-law, she tatted. Tatting is a lost art, and that is very intricate, but it's gorgeous. They used to put tatting on the pillowcases.
Oh, it was on everything.
Beautiful. And when my pillowcases, I cut it off because I couldn't throw it away. I mean, that tatting takes forever. They just sewed it on. Yeah, it was beautiful things back then.
I feel like we need classes. I truly do. I feel this way, that we need a crocheting class and tatting class because as this generation continues to age, we're gonna lose.
That's right.
So much of that.
Well, our district, Madison District, we have a retreat every year. We've done it 25 years. There was a lady that started it way back when, and then I've been to every one of them, all 25 years, and I got on board. I loved it. We'd all come and do things, give lessons, have entertainment. We'd do skits. We had auctions, the food over at Camp Higher Ground at Harrison. We went there every year, except we went down south 2 years, down to Brownstown, I think it was, and there's a park down there, but they had bunk beds, and that was a little hard because we'd spend the night, so it would be a day and a half retreat. Yeah. So that didn't work out too well, I'll tell you, especially with the older ladies.
A little more challenging.
Yes, it was. Mm-hmm. So we incorporated so many things over the years, and last year, Marnie Carr, she lives in Columbus. Her and I has been heading this up for the last probably 15 years, I would say. We kept it going, and we said we was going to give it up, and this past year, we was going on. We said we was moving on, and the ladies, we needed 25 rooms. We always did have, but the ladies stayed together to save some money, so we had to cancel. So we were done now. So it's sad. Our tradition has ended 25 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but it was so good memories.
Yes.
Yes, wonderful memories. We just, like I say, met so many ladies from the whole district. They come from,
From all over.
Yes, we have 7. Well, we used to have 10 and 9 and then 8. So now we have 7 counties that are left because a lot of them disbanded.
Yeah.
And, some have moved into another district. So
Now, I remember it's been a few years. It was pre-COVID, I guess. Now I think about it, but you guys would do it. I remember the Christmas trees. We went with you. Where was that at?
That was at Camp Higher Ground.
Was that Camp Higher Ground?
Yes,
Yeah.
where we had supper.
Yes.
Yes, and they entertained. Yes, we had piano singing. Yes.
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 I love that event.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. Yeah, those are the fun things. Yeah, good memories.
Yeah, very much so. Now, if someone is still interested in becoming an extension homemaker,
yes, all they have
can
to do is
still join a club,
Oh,
right?
yes. We have evening club, which our club meets. Clinton Club meets of an evening the first Tuesday of the month, and then Isabel Royce, 50 Club, they meet. I'm almost positive it's this third Wednesday of the month through the day.
Okay.
They meet at 1 o'clock. So, and then we have other clubs, but they don't meet as much because we're the 2 biggest clubs. We have 14 members, and they have 12.
Okay.
So we're very active. We try to keep doing what we're doing and be entertaining. It's not a boring meeting, So we change things up. So we try to do different activities.
Now, are you looking forward to open class stuff still at the fair? Or have you scaled back?
We do not do that anymore. We cut back.
Do you enter though? Enter?
I do. Yeah. But it's a thing of the past, Yeah. Have all those ribbons at home, and my kids don't want them. And they go, Mom.
So my nephew's in 4-H this year. I'm a little competitive. I think most people know that about me. So we're having a discussion about 4-H and doing projects, and I'm like, and listen, we go for purple.
Yeah.
He's like, what do you mean? There's red. I'm like, no. We go to win.
Yeah,
we're doing this. We're going to win.
Yeah, we're going for the big rosette, buddy.
That's
Come on.
right.
Yeah. It's either that or go home.
And my mom's like, no, quit. Don't. And I'm like, no. He's got to understand.
So what is he going to be entering?
Hay was always my big thing when I was in 4-H.
Okay.
That's a little bit my passion there. So
cool.
He's got that, and then he's got goats and sheep that he's going to show. So
okay.
Is
this his first year?
It's his first year.
Yes.
So it's
a learning
year.
Yes, right.
Yeah. But I'm out of the 3 of like my siblings, I'm the only competitive one. The boys could care less. So I'm like, no, I have to train him right.
That's right. Yes, you do. Well, good thing you're on his side.
That's right. I'm like, you got to know going in.
Yes, he'll do well.
He'll do just fine.
That's right. Yes.
He will.
Yeah, just tell him to relax. Chill.
Smile. You'll be fine.
Yeah, that's right. Give him that cute little smile.
That's right. He's a little ornery,
yes.
so
So which one is this?
This is James.
Yeah. Oh, James. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
He's 9, and
he's a corker. I'll tell you.
He's a corker.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, my last book here is Living Rich Lives.
Ooh.
Yes, and there wasn't too many in this, but I did find a couple in here. And I did. This was from Emily Sharman when she lived in Bartholomew County. I don't know if she was right on the borderline. Well, she lived right at Quailtown, so I don't know if that's true or not. But they're talking about church. And she said, being active in the church is a family tradition. They call this church organization the Sewing Circle. My grandmother was president. My mother was president. Now I'm the youngest one in the organization. We have 84, 85, and 86-year-old people who are active. It is wonderful. The Sewing Circle sounds like we sew, and a few years ago we did. We made quilts, but years later we got into food where we served public suppers. That's how we made money for the church. Then we have the fair, our food stand at the fair. I've done a lot of cooking at it. And then Lorraine asked, whoever asked from Bartholomew County, the church had the stand, and it still does. It doesn't bother me because I was raised to cook for a lot of people. If they say they want enough chicken to serve 150 people, that's no problem because I have just raised those figures. One of the things when Mother would get out a cookbook, she'd take the recipes that she liked and figure them out for crowds and put them in the back of the book because she's always involved in things like that.
Aww.
And that was Emily. You knew Emily, right?
Yes.
Yes. She was a doll, I'll tell you. I just loved her. She was one of the reasons I kept on going, I'll tell you, in Homemak,
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. She was a go-getter and just did a lot for the organization. Her and Mary Friedersdorf. Well, there's a lot of them in Decatur County that did a lot, so. And then let's see here. Lenny Hearn said, this is about women's work. Mother sold her butter and eggs at Westport at the store, and they would give her a due bill. We were never given any money at the store. Then you could apply that due bill to the next time you went back to the store or whatever you had to buy. Many times she bought yard goods to make our aprons and the calico dresses we wore to school.
Oh, fun.
Yes, which they did way back when.
Yeah.
They made everything.
They did.
Yes. Good seamstresses, and
Yes.
like I say, they always got together and made quilts and whatever, so.
My dad's from down around Greene County, and their home church, we go, weddings and funerals and those kind of things. But talking about the quilts they were making, the church down there, they make quilts. They're stored in the back of their, it's kind of like a community building they have across from the church, very small church. But you can purchase one of those, and that all goes back into the church fund.
Oh, okay.
And they're all handmade. I got one just a few months ago, and they're
cool.
just so beautiful. What a neat thing. And they're like, you really want one of those? I'm like, yes, I really want one of those.
Right, yes. Yeah, it is. Yeah, like I say, it's a keepsake.
It is. It
yes,
sure is.
And that's wonderful. Yeah, like I say, way back when, it was just something to have, I'll tell you.
Different times, for sure.
Yep, so, okay. And then Emily also said, this is women's work. She was a doll doctor. Did you know that?
I did know that.
Yeah,
yes.
I repair dolls. I prefer to do just antique dolls, but you can't get by with that because there aren't enough doll doctors. I enjoy it, and some of them just need to be restrung. Or I have a source where I order parts if they have broken china foot or something. And they asked if she goes to shows, and she said, no, not anymore. I have a nice collection of antique dolls, but I do not intend to sell them. I do work with auctioneers now. When there is an estate sale, I go in and tell them what dolls should be in what category, and I identify them and so on. So, yeah, she fixed an antique doll for me. It was Sadie's when she was a little girl.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was, she was the best. And I remember when she passed, she had all those dolls. People went nuts over those when they had her sale for those, Another wonderful memory for Emily.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, very, very cool.
So, those are just tidbits here in Decatur County. Like I say, I could go on for weeks with, other counties, but, I was talking about Decatur County in here,
Yeah,
so.
that's who we went through today.
Yes,
Tell
right.
us again who wrote those books.
Eleanor Arnold.
Out
of Rush County, yes, and she was, I don't even know, I think she's still living. I don't really know for sure, but she was a treasure also. She was very involved in, and a wonderful writer. I mean, she has everything categorized, which book is where if you find something, it's with her index.
Yeah.
It's perfect. Yeah, you just go and find what county you want, and it's there, and then who all said what and where, and go to that page and what book.
Very good. Thank you for sharing those with us today.
That's all right. I enjoyed it.
Yes,
I enjoyed
very much.
Yes.
You'll have to come back.
Well, I always
There's
appreciate.
more fun for us to have.
Yes, there always is, right?
Yeah.
Always something to, I had to bring maybe a couple other gals in with me. My officers, Janet Badel is my vice president, and Paulette Durstock is my treasurer, and then Bonita is the secretary.
Okay, absolutely. Come and bring the fun to the air.
Yeah.
We got to have club on the air.
That's right.
Listen,
we could do
an activity.
We could do an activity and say, what are they making?
Marilyn, let's do this.
All right.
It's a date. We're going to do an activity.
I will get Janet on board because she loves to do crafts. I wonder if she's listening.
Because we YouTube now, so we can show people what we're doing.
That's right. That's a good idea.
We're going to make a date. We're going to have club on the air.
I'll get Janet on board with that.
We'll have a snack and we'll have a craft, right?
That sounds like a winner. It sounds wonderful.
Me
so
too. I love it.
I appreciate you gals and Debbie Terry for always supporting us over the years.
Anytime.
I mean, you've always been there for us, and we couldn't have done the things without you. You've stood behind us.
One of our favorite things to do. So.
I know it is. So I appreciate you, Emily. So
no problem. Marilyn, thank you for coming in
That's
today.
Right. Thank you for having me.
We will do it. We're going to have clubs, so don't forget.
That's right. I will
get
on that.
It all lined up.
I will probably do it after the fair because
I think you and I neither one have time until after the fair. Probably.
That's right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's coming. Mark, I didn't talk to Mark here today. I talked to Doug, but Mark tries to tell me how many days it is till the fair, and we're like in the 70s.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, tomorrow's May 1st, June, so that's 30, 60, about 70 days yet. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fast.
Yeah, it'll be here before you know it. I don't know where April went.
I don't either. It was here and gone so fast.
Yeah.
Marilyn, thanks for coming in.
Thank you so very much.
And we'll have club coming up in the fall.
All right. Sounds like a winner, girl.
10:56 on Tree Country 1330.